All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to build a leader right from the ground up. We'll look at the raw materials inside, the tools they need in their toolkit, and the big challenges that really separate a manager from a true organizational leader. Let's dive in.
So let's kick things off with that classic question, right? Are leaders born or are they made? I mean, people have been debating this forever, but instead of just giving you some textbook answer, we're going to figure it out together. We're going to build our leader piece by piece and see what we find. You know, every great building has to have a solid foundation. Well, for a leader, that foundation is what's going on inside their own head. It's their inner world. Before you can even think about leading other people, you have to get a handle on the personality, the attitudes, and the beliefs that are driving your own decisions. This is building block number 1. Okay, let's get on the same page with a core definition. Leadership, it's not the fancy title or the corner office. It's a process, a living, breathing thing. And the key words here are influence, not just top-down authority, a real partnership with followers, and a laser focus on hitting goals by navigating change. Seriously, forget the idea of a boss. Think more like a guide. This right here shows how a single, fundamental belief can create two completely different worlds. Over on the left, you've got your Theory X leader. They basically think people are lazy, just like work, and need to be controlled. On the right, you have the Theory Y leader, who assumes people are motivated, they want responsibility, and they're ready to contribute. It's really the difference between a micromanager and a true mentor. So, what are the raw ingredients that make up our leader's personality? Well, the big 5 traits give us a pretty good blueprint. Are they outgoing, confident, kind of dominant? That's urgency. Are they empathetic and easy to get along with? That's agreeableness. Are they reliable? Someone with integrity, conscientiousness. Can they stay cool under pressure? That's adjustment. And finally, are they curious, smart, and willing to try new things? That's openness. Now, no leader is perfect, but the really great ones usually have a strong mix of these core traits. Okay, so we've laid the foundation. Now it's time to give our leader a toolkit. These are the practical, hands-on skills and strategies they're going to be using every single day to influence, to motivate, and to just get stuff done. A great leader knows you can't solve every problem with the same tool. You need a whole toolbox. If there's a crisis and you need a quick decision, boom, you grab the autocratic style. But if you need to solve a really complex problem and get the whole team on board, that calls for a democratic approach. Managing a team of experts who know what they're doing, the laissez-faire style is perfect. And if your main goal is to help your people grow, the servant style is your go-to. The real skill isn't having a favorite, it's knowing exactly which tool the situation calls for. But how do you actually get people to want to do anything? This here lays out the basic engine of motivation. It all starts with an unmet need. That need then sparks a motive, a drive to do something about it. That drive leads to a behavior, and the consequence of that action leads to the final step, satisfaction, or, a lack of it. Every single motivational tactic is just about tapping into this chain reaction. All right, first tool for motivation, equity theory. At its heart, this is all about one thing, fairness. See, we all have this little mental scale, and we're constantly weighing our inputs, our effort, our skills, the long hours, against our outputs, like our pay or a simple thank you. And here's the key, we're also peeking over at our coworkers' scales. If things feel out of balance, that, hey, that's not fair feeling can kill motivation instantly. It means that a well-timed thank you can sometimes be more powerful than you'd ever guess. Next up, we've got expectancy theory, which is kind of like a formula for motivation. It boils down to 3 questions we all ask ourselves. First, if I put in the effort, can I actually succeed? That's expectancy. Second, if I succeed, will I really get that reward they promised? That's instrumentality. And finally, do I even want this reward? That's valence. The critical insight here is that if the answer to any of those questions is no, the entire motivation equation just collapses. It goes to 0. And our last motivation tool is the simple but incredible power of a clear target. Goal-setting theory basically proves that telling someone to just do your best is pretty much useless. What really works? A specific, challenging goal. Increase sales by 10% this quarter is way, way more motivating than just, hey, let's try to sell more. A clear finish line gives people something concrete to run toward. Okay, so our leader has their inner foundation built and their toolkit is stocked. Now it's time to step into the arena, the real world of dealing with people, teams, and all the dynamics that come with it. Now, this is a really critical distinction every leader has to get. A group is just a bunch of individuals, right? Like people waiting at a bus stop. But a team, like you see on the right, that's a unit. They're all working together toward a common goal. The big difference is a shared purpose and mutual accountability. Great leaders don't just coordinate groups, they build real teams. Here's the thing, leadership is personal. Leader-member exchange theory, or LMX, shows us that leaders naturally develop different kinds of relationships. There's often a trusted inner circle, the in-group, who get more support and freedom. And then others might stay in a more formal out-group. The first step to being a good leader is just acknowledging that this happens, so you can manage it. This quote just nails a profound truth. Leadership is not a one-way street. It's a conversation. It's a partnership. The very best followers are not passive sheep waiting for orders. They are active, reliable partners who challenge ideas and support the mission. They make the whole team and the leader so much better. And now for the final piece, the ultimate challenge. This is what really separates the good leaders from the truly great ones. It's not about managing the easy day-to-day stuff. It's about how you navigate the chaos of a crisis, the fear of change, and the gray areas of ethics. So where does a leader's influence actually come from? Well, it's not just one thing. You've got power from your formal position, your job title. You've got power to reward or punish. You have power from your expertise, just knowing your stuff. And then there's referent power, which comes from people just liking and respecting you. The big takeaway here? Relying only on your job title is the weakest way to lead. The strongest leaders pull from all 5 of these sources. This might just be the single hardest thing a leader has to do. I mean, as humans, we are wired to resist change. We like what's familiar. So how on earth do you guide an entire organization through that uncomfortable, uncertain journey from the old way to a new, unknown future? Well, Lewin's model gives us a really simple but powerful way to think about it. Imagine a block of ice. First, you have to unfreeze it. That means you have to explain why the change is necessary and break down the old way of thinking. Second, you actually make the change. You reshape the water. And finally, and this is crucial, you have to refreeze it. You have to lock in those new habits and processes so they become the new standard. And what about those moments when everything just goes sideways? Well, great leaders don't just react to a crisis. They see it coming. As you can see from this process, it starts way earlier, with identifying potential risks before they even happen. You assess them, you create plans to deal with them, you run drills. That way, when a crisis actually hits, you're not panicking, you're executing a plan. And this brings us to the bedrock of everything we've been talking about. Ethics isn't just some separate topic or a nice to have. It is the concrete that the entire foundation is built on. Without integrity, trust is impossible. And without trust, well, everything else, influence, motivation, teamwork, it all just crumbles into dust. So there we have it. We've built our leader. We started with their inner foundation, we gave them a toolkit of skills, we threw them in the arena with their team, and we tested them against the toughest challenges. Now, let's bring it back to where we started. Only this time, the question is for you. So here's the final blueprint of the leader we built together. Just remember these key things. It all starts with influence, not your title. It demands a flexible toolkit that you can adapt to any situation. It absolutely thrives on real relationships with your team. And a leader's true character, well, that's revealed in the fire of crisis and change. So, back to that original question. Are leaders born or made? Well, the truth is, it's both. You start with the raw materials you're born with, sure. But the leader you actually become, that is made. It's built through thousands of conscious choices. The choice to learn, to adapt, to really listen, and to always act with integrity. Knowing all these terms is the easy part. The real test is choosing every single day what kind of leader you're going to be.